So as Wyatt gets more suspicious, Caitlin starts chanting out cake just so she can save the situation. As soon as she starts chanting cake, the whole gang starts chanting cake, and then the whole guests in Albatross and Finch start chanting cake. However, there seems to be a problem. As soon as everyone starts chanting cake, they bring out the cake, and it turns out to be a wedding cake. Anyway, Josie starts running towards it and piles over the cake. It does ruin the cake, but that's a good save, Jonesy. And then we hit the peak. So the greeter guard, gets up on the stage and starts, telling the guest of honor to, to talk on the mic and give a speech. And then everyone starts chanting speech. And Wyatt thinks it's him, so he gets on the stage and tells him like how how great everyone is. It's definitely hard to watch, but remembering it does make me laugh a lot. And as soon as Wyatt tells everyone that he's so great and like thank you for coming to my birthday, one of the person in the background yells out like, "Who is he?" And it's just so funny and like it's so ridiculous. And then the bride comes up and tells him like, "This is my bridal shower," and she starts crying. It's just so hilarious and awkward. It's hilarious because of the situation, but you're also feeling awkward for Wyatt because like it just you would have expected it. And could you imagine though, like you get on the stage and you just tell everyone in the bridal shower like, "Oh, thank you for coming for my birthday." If he wasn't like a 16-year-old or he was older, you'd think he was some random drunk guy. Actually, this is like really hilarious. Like, I've never laughed this much in a video before, and this kind of proves like how funny this is. Even though it's like tragic for Wyatt, but it's just so funny. So anyway, the gang get busted, and Wyatt looks at them, and they're all kind of like feeling awkward. And obviously, Wyatt's not happy about this. He's all shocked and everything. This is so embarrassing for Wyatt, but it's also pretty like awkward for the gang because their plan has been found out. So as soon as that happens, they just jolt off because like the embarrassment is so big, and he's not happy with them. Anyway, Wyatt does get mad, but he does get over it. I mean, I don't care about this bit. It's kind of whatever. Anyway, G brings back his hat to Wyatt, and he says like, "Oh, as stupid as this gift is, he's gonna wear it." And he's saying like, "Oh, he feels bad for his parents for being too hard on them." And I don't get this bit. I feel like Wyatt is backtracking here. Like, if you have a stance on something, just stand on it. Like, if you think your parents gave you bad birthdays, just say it. Anyway, Josie brings out the flattened cake from Albatross and Finch for, making it as a birthday cake. I mean, it's a sweet moment and it looks really tasty. But how did Albatross and Finch just let him get away with it and take the cake? I would assume like the snobbish people from Albatross and Finch would not be generous enough to do that. Especially when they just ruined the girl's bridal shower. And it feels like they're somehow getting rewarded for something because the gang basically ruined someone's bridal shower, and they're not getting consequences from it. They're just getting rewarded from doing that. And that's kind of a gripe I have with this episode, just a little bit. Like, I think, if you're the audience watching this, you would think what they did in this episode was okay, which I don't mind. I think the verse that happened in this episode was really funny, But I feel like they don't deserve the cake that was given to them. Anyway, at Grimy, Jude is still playing Simi Mall, which he really is getting sucked into. Jan, Caitlin, and Wyatt, try to get the computer off him because he's been glued to the computer so much. I kind of did not like that scene though. Thing is, it's like really none of the business. If Jude wants to play Simi Mall, he can play it. Also, why is Jude in the mall anyway? Why can't he just play the game at home? I know, like, this show is like you always have to be in the mall. At this point, like, he's not even working right now. I would just, let Jude just take a break and, do his game at home. Like a normal person would play this game. Anyway, the episode concludes with Jonesy and Nikki talking. And Jonesy wants a final answer for Nikki. Why isn't Nikki not dating Jonesy? And Nikki just finally realizes what her answer is. She doesn't want to screw this up. Not the relationship between Nikki and Jonesy. She doesn't want to screw up the gang up. Like, all six of the group, like if Jonesy and Nikki did break up, the whole other members of the group will have to like pick sides. This is the fear that the gang had, like in the episode where like Jonesy was employee of Khaki Barn. Like remember that episode? Like that's where we first got the hint of like Nikki and Jonesy, started dating each other. Um, and I think that was an interesting episode. I think it's that episode where like Jude would rub like this ointment cream all over him, and he starts falling over. And like Jen, Caitlin, and Wyatt start stalking Nikki and Jonesy, trying for that not to happen. And they said it there as well. Like that's kind of their fear. Like if Jonesy and Nikki did eventually get together, they will eventually gonna have to break up.